Hey guys, it's Ashley,
And I'm Charlie.
and this is the gift of gab. Wow.
I'm sorry, I'm the worst.
No, it's not you. I just was like, it just didn't flow right. Okay.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like once I say and I'm Charlie, it just I don't know. It just feels strange. All
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
right,
All right,
I'm
I
good.
got it.
I'm good now.
I got it. Hey guys, it's Ashley,
And I'm Charlie.
and welcome back to the gift of gab.
Hi, how
So,
you doing today?
yeah, how you guys doing? Happy Monday. Usually you guys listen on Mondays, so happy Monday. And today we're going to talk about the pandemic. Of course, it is, unless you've been living under a rock, we definitely have a global pandemic for everybody with the coronavirus. And yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today.
So I kind of want to know what, at least to start anyway, where were you kind of when you first started hearing about the pandemic, Ashley?
Um, where was I? I mean, I was at home for the
Because I know
most
you were
part.
traveling and stuff. Before that, right?
Yeah, we definitely were. I traveled for Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
And so I traveled around that time. I went to Texas. So I traveled during that time. And I'm trying to think, when was the first time I've heard about it? I want to say for sure, probably like late February to beginning of March. Um, I think that was around the time.
Mhm.
It seemed like it just kind of like came out of nowhere. And I actually remember my friend, it was her birthday, which was March 1st, and she was going to do like a kickback or whatever. And I think she waited like a week or two. She was like, no, I'm going to wait for whatever reason. And then she ended up not being able to do it
Oh,
because the pandemic kicked in. So it was just like, oh, yeah, no, we can't do that.
right. What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. What about you? Do you remember?
I mean, I remember like back in I think was it January, beginning of February, when like they were starting talking about with China,
Yeah,
th-
exactly.
them going through it, and I feel like as Americans, we kind of just don't think that that kind of thing's going to happen to us,
Mhm.
which is fucked up and wrong.
It is very wrong.
And so I remember hearing about that, but like I didn't. It it wasn't. It didn't even cross my mind that that was like going to affect like my life.
Here.
And then so at the end of February and then into the beginning of March, I was actually on tour. Like I went on a little tour.
Yeah.
And I remember that we played we played in New Jersey one night, and my mom was texting me like, where are you going tomorrow?" And I was like, "I'll be in New York City." And she was like, "Well, they just had like 4 confirmed cases in the city." And I was like, "Okay, it's 4, and there's like millions of people or thousands of people that live there."
Yeah.
Um, and so so the next day we go to New York City, and then the governor puts out a state of emergency, and I'm just like,
What? Yeah.
I don't know if I should be here anymore. And I mean, whatever. We didn't end up staying there long anyway, and we went back to New Jersey, and then we came home the day after. But I just remember like feeling so strange. Like I was riding the like we went to Times Square, and there was nobody. Like I don't know. Have you ever been to Times Square?
No, I haven't.
So I had never been either, and I just imagined like tons of people like
Usually
it
we've seen
packed.
like movies or news, it's so
Yeah,
packed.
and I mean it was March, but it was like one of the nice days in March. It had to be like in the 60s, so like it was like a nice day,
Yeah.
and there was nobody there. Like it wasn't like I was like I don't know. There you weren't like shoulder to shoulder with people. Like on the subway, you weren't shoulder to shoulder with people. It was so strange.
Mhm.
Um, and I just remember being like, "Wow, this is so weird." And like even on the drive home the day after, um, just like not that I didn't already wash my hands, but I feel like I was super hyper focused on it. Like
Mhm.
everything I touched, I had to wash my hands. And um, then obviously transitioning back into work, and then shortly thereafter, um, my job kind of changed things. School ended up going online, so it was kind of a weird process. But like you said, it kind of came out of nowhere. It
It
was like,
seemed like, yeah.
yeah, it was like, what the hell? Like, it was like overnight, life just kind of changed, and it was kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, when they started shutting things down, I was just thinking about that. When they started shutting things down, like salons and stuff like that, I was like, oh, okay, this
Mhm.
is serious. And then like I remember I was at my cousin's house and we were like, oh, this is our last day of freedom, like the lockdown. So we're trying to like make it fun.
Mhm.
Like we went to her friend's house, which we shouldn't have been, but we went to her friend's house. We had hibachi. We had like we're like, oh, this is the last supper, like, just eating and tearing it up. Like I think I got steak and lobster.
Oh yeah.
Like we're like, oh, so then I was like, well, I'm gonna stay at Vicky's house. I'm like, hi, Vicky. I was gonna stay at Vicky's house.
Mhm.
Um, so we were gonna have like a slumber party. Like I brought pancakes to make for the next morning.
Mhm.
So my dad's like, I think you need to come home. And I'm like, I mean, I know that there's a lockdown, but I don't think I need to come home. Like as long as we're all right. He's like, no, I'm pretty sure like if you get caught, you're gonna get in trouble. My dad's like super serious. So he's like, if you get caught, if the cops pull you over and you don't have a good excuse, like you get a ticket. And I'm like, really? I'm like, are you sure? Like he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like you have to be home. And I think that pressure from my dad kind of made me like, oh my God, because we were like, wait, do we have to be home? Wait, what?
Mhm.
So like literally like out of nervousness, I just went home and it was like, I think I left at like 11:30 from her house. And I literally got home at like, I stopped at the liquor store, got some liquor. And then I literally got home at like 11:58. So like right before midnight, before it kicked in. So I was just like, okay. And then like, I don't know, the next day people were still out. So I was like, what the fuck? But whatever.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of been like the hard thing for me too, is like, especially working and working in a customer facing job.
hmm
It's been very eye opening to the amount of people who don't think this is serious and don't think that this is like a real virus, and like just the precautions that people aren't taking. And then there are the people that like, it's kind of the opposite of that, that take every single, like, that it's like they're scared to be out, but they're out, at least from when I'm seeing them, they're buying things that are just very not essential. And I'm like, why did you come out if you're that worried? And not that they shouldn't be worried, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
You come up from line
right.
just
And
because, you know.
I don't know. It was just super strange. So I don't know how, like, I don't know how much you've been out or how much you've been doing things and that kind of thing, but like, have you seen people like either following or not following social distancing, or kind of what's been your perspective on that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've definitely seen people not social distancing. I've seen people still not doing 6 feet. Like literally the other day, I was at Target. And, now all the stores have markers of where you're supposed to stand.
Mhm.
And like I was putting my stuff on the register, and literally like this girl was just right behind me. And so I was like, no, you're supposed to be 6 feet away, technically. But,
Right.
I didn't say anything, but the cashier was like, oh, ma'am, I need you to step back and step on the sticker, like that. So I know me and my cousin we went downtown on one of the nice days. So I haven't technically been social distancing the proper way. Like, have I been staying like away from like new people and trying to go out less? Like,
Mhm.
of course, but I have still been at my mom's house and I went to see my cousin. And so, but it's just like the precaution of you really don't know what other people are doing. Like my cousin is hanging out with her friends and her friends are hanging out with who and her friends are hanging out with who. So it's kind of like, it's a domino effect. So it was one point my mom was like, I don't want you to come over here anymore because, you've been hanging out with, your cousin and we don't know who her cousin is. Sorry, can you hear that?
No, I can't.
Okay, sorry guys. My
Yeah.
neighbor's like blowing leaves at like 9 o'clock. So, um, but yeah, so it was just like, my mom was like, I kind of don't want you to come over. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah. And so I had to, stay away. She's like, at least stay away for like a week or two to make sure like,
Mhm.
nothing comes up. But you have to think about that. Like my mom's a diabetic.
Right.
She's in her 60s. My dad is in his 60s. He's an older guy. So you have to be careful with, who you're with and why you're out and things like that. Um, but yeah, we had went downtown on a nice day and it was packed. And
Mhm.
not everybody had masks on. There was a majority of people had masks on, but it was packed. So me and my cousin, we were like, okay, we knew it was kind of gonna be packed, but we didn't know it was gonna be this packed. So we made like a little picnic or whatever. We had our stuff. So we just found like a parking lot to park into, one of the
Mhm.
paid ones that kind of sit on the riverfront. And then we just kind of did it that way. So we just parked over there,
Mhm.
and we still seen people walk by, but weren't actually on the riverfront.
Right. And
So
I think that's been like a thing for me, like how you said, you don't know who's hanging out with who and kind of who their networks are and that kind of thing. And like I feel like it's made me very just like focused on and aware of um I don't know, just aware of I guess everything and just aware of like who I'm talking to, like for how long, how close am I, like are they coughing, do they appear sick, like it's like it causes so much anxiety for me.
yeah,
And I don't know if you feel the same way or anybody listening feels the same way, and I'm kind of scared, and I'm kind of scared that this isn't going to go away for me. Like I've kind of thought about that, like at what point, because I know at least in Michigan we're slowly kind of reopening, and it's kind of strange that people are doing this so quickly. Um,
you would think, right?
yeah, and but I'm thinking like when do I stop wearing a mask? Like when do I stop standing 6 feet away? Like I feel like there's so many variables and there's so much like we don't know. Um,
Yeah,
and I'm scared I'm going to hold on to that anxiety because I feel so because anxiety is it's learned, um,
yeah,
and if you internalize it, it sticks with you. And I feel like I'm definitely internalizing it. I'm trying not to,
yeah,
but it's hard. Like if I see somebody without a mask on, I get like a little repulsed and like a
yeah.
little like
Like, what are you doing? Yeah.
like grossed out a little bit, and I'm like, why aren't you wearing a mask? Like I don't know, and
Mhm.
I'm trying to like deconstruct that because I don't think I should approach it like that, but I don't know, it's just very difficult to do.
Yeah, it is. It is difficult for sure. I think, and a little bit of, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit to like working and stuff like that. I have two jobs, and my first job I'm on medical leave for, so I haven't really been at work. But like every day, like not every day, but like at least every other day, for sure once a week, I'm getting a text message from that job like, oh, additional cases have been confirmed at this site. Oh, and they were last here on this date. Oh, condition, like it's so crazy to me that like they're still even open, because it is a major online retailer. But there was one point at the beginning of the pandemic, and everything was locked down. I don't know if you saw it, but it was on Facebook in the news. They actually went up to my job site, and there was like a manager speaking, and he was like, all the essential items are sold out. We're literally packing non-essentials. And in a place like that, it's impossible to do social distancing.
Mhm.
Like literally there's a wall of items right behind me, and this person is maybe 6 feet away from me. But even then, where the computer tells you can go, it can be all up and down the wall. You have to walk past people all the time. It's impossible. And so he was saying, like, you know, I'm packing dildos. Like he was
Right.
like, I'm packing dildos during a pandemic. Like that's not essential.
Mhm.
Um, so and I agree, In my second job, they shut down. They just reopened back up like maybe like last week.
Mhm.
But yeah, I kind of felt like it was a blessing and a curse for me, because it was like I'm not at my second job, I'm not at my first job, and I'm on medical leave. But of course it's for injury, so it's like, meh.
Right.
But but yeah, so it's kind of like I'm grateful that I'm not there, because like I mean, I don't want to go back anyway, but I really didn't want to
Mhm.
go back during this time. So,
Right, and
so
it's
yeah.
crazy that, like you said, I mean, stores that are or places that have the confirmed cases and that kind of thing aren't shutting down. And then it's crazy to just kind of the other end of the spectrum, the stores that are like the stores that not even just shutting down, but like just thinking of like my workplace and similar retailers and that kind of thing, that like we are just in a completely different operating model. Like it's my job is not even close to the same. It's just so strange how overnight it's just like different,
Yeah.
so shifted, and it's so altered. And um I don't, and like even thinking about like schooling, like being in grad school and like, especially being in a psychology program, and I'm sure so many other types of programs where a lot of my learning comes from like that kind of immediate feedback and that, you know, the things you do in person, and now we're adopting how to do it online. And I know there's things like telehealth and you know, psychology does exist in an online format, but trying to learn a lot of these skills are very difficult to do online. And yeah, it's just a very strange process. And I don't know,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, like it's just hard to cope with, I feel like.
How have
Um,
you been coping?
um, I mean, I've been doing it. I've been okay. I've been thinking a lot more, of course, and I've had my anxiety has risen as well. Just worried because like I kind of felt stuck. Like, like even if I wanted to do something, because I've been thinking about like doing different things and how I'm gonna transition out of my job, and I'm like, I feel so stuck, like I can't do anything. And I was actually talking to I was talking to my boyfriend, and he was like, I was like, I gotta get my car, but I'm not working and I'm not getting my full pay and this and that. And he's like, well, like, babe, we are in a pandemic. So he's like, where are you really supposed to be going that you need a car at the moment? He's like, yeah, you can go to other places. He's like, but your dad is retired right now. He'll take you places if you have to go to the hospital, to the store, or whatever. He's like, you're kind of being kind of hard on yourself. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm like, it just feel like my goals aren't getting met. And he's like, there's a pandemic, there's a reason. Like, it's a reason. You're not just like sitting at home like, oh well.
Right. No, and I feel like that's like a good point to bring up because I feel like a lot of people are feeling that way. At least for me, it feels kind of like a loss of control.
Mm.
Um, because I feel like I had, like going into this year, I had so many things I wanted to do. I mean, like I said, I went on a little tour. I'm in grad school and I'm working on all these little projects. I'm trying to record a new record and that kind of thing. And then now it's like, I can't. Like you just,
Yeah, it's like halted. 2020 was supposed to be our year, okay?
right. It
Supposed
really
to be our
was.
year,
And it's been, it's been
not
the
our
roughest
year.
one yet, I think.
Yeah, this is a rough year. Like I'm not holding nothing. Like I was just thinking, I seen a meme like, why the fuck did I buy a planner for 2020? Like why? What was the purpose? Like, and I was buying one actually. I bought one the other day and I was thinking like, do I even really need this? Like, like I'm trying to find order, but there's no order in this chaos. So I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know.
And I think I mean, that's been a big struggle for me. Like even with school, like so even with like the structure of school and work and like having those things to fill a lot of my time, it's been so chaotic because like work has to figure things out and school's trying to figure things out and things are getting all shifted and everything is just so tentative and nothing is really like concrete and it's difficult and I'm sure a lot of people are struggling with that too and um I don't know. I feel like for me it just boils down to like a loss of control and then like also like a loss of safety. Like I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
Um which is like a huge issue for me. And like when I go out, I feel like the more that I do it, the less that I experience these feelings. But I feel like like when I go out, I'm very, like I mentioned, I'm just very aware of things and I'm very like worried about things. And I I don't know. I guess now I'm starting to think I can't really remember what it was like to not wear a mask and gloves
Yeah.
and I don't know.
It's crazy because my cousins haven't really been out much. She has a baby, so she hasn't. Hi, Michelle. She hasn't really been out so much, and so like seeing her come out, and she's like, "Oh my god, I gotta do this!" Like it's kind of like our norm because we've been doing it, and like so when she's like, "Oh, I'm going out today," and she's like, she felt good because she literally when I tell you she has not been out since the lockdown started,
Mhm.
she just started getting out maybe like for my birthday, I think. So
Wow.
literally for the 2.5 months she was in the house.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of funny, but then it's also like sad, like seeing them people adjust to that. Like even my best friend, she just started working. She works for an automotive company, so they had shut down, and she had her fiance has been doing everything, like going to the store, getting all their stuff. She hasn't been either, and so she just like she had an issue with like daycare and like who was gonna watch her baby, and so she was stressed about that. And so I was just kind of like, at first I'm like, hey, why are we screaming? Like she was like going off, and then I thought about it, I'm like, oh, she hasn't been out since March either. Like this is new for them, so it's like she was like trying to find masks at like the end of April. I'm like, girl, you should have been there, done that. So it was like, but she didn't need it because she hadn't been out. So
Right. And I think I'm kind of just like you brought up, I think there's just new struggles that we're facing that we've never had to face. And I think, like you mentioned, like especially parents who are either just at home or like especially parents who are working from home and then like single parents who are working from home and
yeah,
like how does that work? Like if especially being a single parent working from home, uh
you do what you do.
how
Actually, like, cause literally, I have a girl that I used to work with. She had moved to Henry Ford Healthcare, so she works on like their customer service. So it was random. It was like really random, but I got her on the phone when I was calling, and she was like, "Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna let you know now. Like, I have a 2-year-old in the back,
oh wow.
and that's what you're gonna hear." And I did hear him, but it was just like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I need the information. I'm not going to hang up and, recall because there's a kid in the background. Like,
Hmm.
you know, they're literally just making do, like, with what you can.
Right.
Like, my mom, she works, she had to start working from home. And they set her up, gave her, like, computer monitor and everything like that. But still, it was just like, she was like, I'm struggling, like meeting our goal and meeting that. And they act like it's not a pandemic going out. Like, oh, you should be meeting your goal. And it's like, did you know that there's a pandemic? Like, like I can't, she was saying, like, I can't get in touch with insurance companies because they're handling all this COVID shit. Like, they can't get through to that.
Mhm.
So
And
it's very strange.
not even just that, but like think about like hitting targets with like the weight of what's going on your mind, like the anxiety, the depression, the uncertainty. Like I don't
Hmm.
know, the guy, because I feel like I struggle with that. I don't know if you have with that, but like
Yeah.
it just made like simple tasks so much harder to do. Like I can
Yeah.
like, I can wake up and have like a list of 10 things like I feel motivated, I'm going to do these. I do one of them and I am spent. I'm done. Like
Done, exhausted. I've been spent over here. I haven't even been working. So I don't know how you've been doing it because I'm like, I wouldn't be able to do that at all.
but I sorry, I feel like I keep like you say something and I just keep going back, but
No, it's
you
fine.
you hit on some, or we were talking about like with children at home and that kind of thing, and I feel like that's just one aspect of what I'm about to say, but I feel like this pandemic brings about the idea that we need like political and social reform or political and social restructure and
Mhm.
like guaranteeing like some kind of like daycare or childcare and like um
Oh,
you know what I'm saying, and like implementing policies that help especially single parents or like I don't know, like people that, what am I trying to say, like low income people that like need that support, like where they can't pay for daycare, like so like building a system that like we all can like help provide that for people who need it, and then obviously like Medicare for all, and um, not to mention just like the whole idea that um, like urban communities are more affected by this than the richer
yeah.
affluent areas, and kind of thinking of the ways that a pandemic can uh, or unproportionately affect people of color and that kind of thing. Like there's
Mhm.
so like I feel like it has like shed so much light and just kind of like ripped any kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like rose-colored glasses, essentially, of like how I thought life was, and it just kind of like
Yeah.
ripped that from me, and kind of, I don't know, kind of made me think of life in a bit of a different way, and I don't know.
Different way. Yeah. I was looking up, like, I was trying to look up a little bit of information about it, but like a third of the United States COVID cases are African Americans.
Mhm.
And I was just listening to the radio, and they were saying in Detroit or in Michigan, African Americans make up 13% of the population, but we're at a 30% rate for getting COVID, and it's a 40% rate for our fatalities. So it's like it definitely affects the Black community. I seen somebody say like we're fighting two. How did they word it? The two pandemics in one, or something like that. How they worded it, like the social injustices and COVID. So it was just like, it's hard, you know.
The thing is, I feel like they're so intertwined. Like, I feel
Mhm.
like I feel like they're. I mean, they are separate. I'm not going to minimize either of them, but I feel like when you look at them, they're almost intertwined. Like when you think of things um, like lack of access to resources, such as like whether it just be mental health, or whether it be actual healthcare, or whether it be jobs that provide healthcare, or whether it be a well-paying job, or the ability to pay for running water, because a lot of people in Detroit are not able to make their water bills, and that's a huge crucial part of being able to wash your hands, is having water on in your house.
Right.
And then when you combine that with things like stress, specifically minority stress, uh, pairing that with other things that marginalize these communities, the racial injustice, and the way that stress also affects the immune system. And there's so many different factors that are working against people of color. And the coronavirus just puts a exclamation point at the end of that. Like, I don't know. It's, I feel like I could talk forever about it. It just it like infuriates me. It makes me feel stuck. It makes me feel sad. It makes me want to go be a politician and just like start swinging on politicians that don't agree with me. Like,
Right.
I, I don't know. I don't know. It just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. So, like with that, I wanted to see. I don't know if I asked you if you've been properly social distancing. I'm sure you have, but how do you feel about it?
I have. I mean, so I live with four other people technically.
Mhm.
So I mean, I've been hanging out with them because we live together. The bad thing is we all do work. Two of us
Yeah.
work in the same place. Two other people work in different places. Um, and uh, I don't know. I've been hanging out with them, and that's how I've been spending most of my time. Very recently, I have started seeing another friend of mine. Um, so
Who
I,
is that? It ain't me.
what was that?
I said, who is that? It ain't me. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
mean, if you're comfortable, we can be outside with up to 100 people now. So,
Right.
um, but I mean, for the most part, I feel like I have, especially, I mean, being in like grocery stores, I've really only been going out if to get food or to get groceries, which kind of are the same thing.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to be very cognizant of that, washing my hands. I've been trying to, I wear a mask wherever I go. I've been trying to take precautions, but I'm not one of those people who is like, um, I don't know. I'm not super strict about it, but I am just
Like
cognizant.
you want to be aware, but you don't want it to be crippling your life. Like I was actually talking to my therapist about it, because it was a debate. Like if for my birthday, I wanted to go to Texas. And I was like, well, they do have flights. Like they're still, we're still doing domestic travel. People are still flying.
Mhm.
So I was having that debate with her, and she's like, well, you can't let things cripple you and, stuff like that. And I'm like, well, that's true. That is very true. But at the same time, like, I just want to make sure I'm safe and the person that I'm going to is safe,
Mhm.
because they're asthmatic. So that was literally the only reason that I was like,
Right.
oh, maybe I shouldn't. Well, that and my family, because all my family was like, hell no, like, don't go. You cannot go.
Mhm.
I actually had a trip booked in to go to Jamaica in April, and that was canceled. And they won't give us our fucking money back, but whatever.
Really?
No, like it's some like rule, like they don't have to give us our money. They just can give us a voucher. So literally, yeah, I know.
Why
So
is
like
that a
I
law?
have,
Like, what?
you said what?
Why is that a law or
I
rule or
can't hear
whatever?
you.
You can't hear me.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. I said, why is that like a law or why is that a rule or whatever?
I don't know. But it's like, yeah, I have no idea as to why that is. But yeah, they don't have to do that. So I have a voucher for them, and I have a voucher for my ticket because I bought my airplane ticket already too. So that's what I have.
Wow. What the fuck? I
Mhm.
didn't even know that was like a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing. I was like,
What the hell? I don't know. I don't fly like that.
money, but
So, um, so you mentioned it a little bit earlier about just like taking care of yourselves. Do you have any like specific self care things you've been doing, or like any kind of tasks you've been doing, that kind of thing?
Yeah, just some things to like, cope and de-stress. I definitely play The Sims when my life is a mess because my life is perfect on The Sims.
I
Okay,
love
I'm a millionaire.
that.
So, so yeah, so I play The Sims. I like give myself spa days to look forward to, like, oh, self-care Sunday, we're gonna do that. So I'll make sure like I get a facial, like a little sheet mask, and like take my time in the shower. Normally, which is really weird, I either like FaceTime, but I FaceTime in the shower or like I'll watch YouTube.
Mhm,
But now I kind of like just put on some like relaxing music and like just have that kind of like spa experience.
mhm,
Using a lot of aromatherapy and stuff like that just to like get myself in like a mood, like a relaxing mood.
mhm,
So, um just doing things that make me happy. That's mainly the main thing.
mhm.
I've been writing more, like writing in my journal and like getting my thoughts out. um and, Netflix and stuff like that, Netflix and chilling by myself.
Good.
um I also like, I exercise, not a lot though, I'm not gonna lie, but if I have the energy, I
Mhm,
will get up and like exercise that day or something like that.
mhm.
So I'm trying, and honestly, I smoke from time to time too. I'm not gonna hold you up. It calms me, so I
Good.
do. Yeah. What about you? You have any coping things that you could do?
I have been meditating has been huge for me. I'm still on my meditation journey, and I feel
Good.
like I get better at it each time. So I love that. I've started using. I have like a few crystals, and I've been trying to use those, incorporate those. I don't really. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of stupid when it comes to crystals, so I try to just do what I can, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So I've been doing that, and it's been nice, and that helps me a lot, just like grounding me and like getting me to just focus on where I'm at.
Mhm.
Um, and the other thing, I take a lot of baths, like multiple times a week. I'll take baths, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Other than that, like I said, I'm just busy with school and work. Maybe play some music. Maybe just I have been taking edibles quite a bit, uh, and just like
Yeah.
watching because I don't really watch TV or movies, So I've been like watching more movies and TV, and it's been really strange, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, you're not a movie person like at all.
I probably watched maybe like 7 or 8 movies, which for
That's a
me,
lot for you.
I know I was and I don't know. I've
Guys,
watched.
Sean is not a movie buff or anything like that. He's like, nah, I don't think so.
I think I've seen probably 7 or 8.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good.
That's what's up.
And
Also,
probably TV shows. Sorry, not to cut you off.
oh, you're good in TV shows. What was I gonna say? Damn, I was gonna say something. It lost me. I was gonna say something about coping. Oh, also for coping, I'm sorry if I cut you off.
No, you're good.
I've been trying to stay away from the news
Oh,
because it's nothing that is positive on the news. And like boomers think I'm crazy. Like my dad thinks I'm crazy that I say things like that. But
mhm.
like he'll wake up at like whatever time he wakes up and CNN will be on all day long.
I was just about to say that. Every time I go to my parents' house, they have CNN on. I'm like, shut that shit off.
Shut it off. Like, how do you de-stress, like, when you're watching, oh, we just reached 100,000, and oh, these people died today. Oh, a cop killed another black kid. Like, on top of that, that's all they're watching on CNN.
Mm-hmm.
He's burned like an image of the CNN logo on his TV. That's how much he watches CNN.
Are you serious?
Where?
Oh my God.
So, yeah, I try to stay away from that. Like, looking at the numbers gives me anxiety. Looking at that, like, we already know the proper precautions: wash your hands, wear your mask, things like that. I don't know, like,
Right.
yeah, try to stay away from that.
On top of that, social media too.
Mm.
Especially this past week, it's been very difficult for me to be on social media, and I think there's a balance between being on there, having a voice, and lifting up the voices of others, and donating resources and that kind of thing. I think that's all important, but at least for me, my mental health has been like very much on a downward slope the past couple weeks, and even before that, even when the pandemic was first starting, like taking time to just like I'll just delete Twitter and Facebook and all those off my phone because I just I can't deal with the constant just discourse and the constant just like kind of bickering that people do over shit, and like whether it be about the pandemic, whether it be about the protests that are happening. Like I can't stand to see the ignorance that people just display, and I don't know, it just takes a toll on me because it just puts me in a place where it's like people really think these things, and people really, I don't know, believe these things. And even if you try to educate them in a way that's not attacking them, they're still not, at least on Facebook and on Twitter, I
They're
don't,
just defensive.
there's no productive discourse on social media. And I don't know, I just have to take those absences from it and kind of recollect myself. And I don't know, if whoever's listening, if you don't do that, I highly recommend it. It's empowering. And
I do. I
Mhm.
do. I want to say it's kind of like a sidebar, but I did like this spiritual journey where I got off of social media. I didn't listen to like music with words, like lyrics. I didn't rap and stuff. I didn't listen to. I stayed off of social media. I listened to nothing but like motivational podcasts,
Mhm.
inspirational words, affirmations on YouTube. It was like the best time of my life. I'm struggling like to get back to it
Mhm.
because like I found out I'm addicted to my phone. But like now is not the time to be addicted to your phone. It's like terrible timing, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You kind
Have
of
you? Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say yeah. So it's good to deplug yourself from that and just
Right. Kind of taking that a step further. I don't know if you ever heard of, um, I don't know if it's scientifically backed or anything, but it's called like dopamine detoxing or dopamine cleansing, or I don't know, something like that. Have you ever heard
Mhm.
of that?
No.
So it's very difficult. Now there's like different stages. I don't know the ins and outs of it, and I won't go on too much about it, but essentially there's this one thing, like there's this one stage, and this is the one I would try if I was going to do it. And you take a day, you take a full 24 hours, you shut your phone off. Someone said they shut their phone off, or maybe they silence it or something and put an alarm on, so a timer for 24 hours, and
Mhm.
you do nothing. Like you don't you essentially don't do anything that's going to spike the dopamine in your brain. So
Mm.
you can't like listen to music, you can't eat very like tasty foods, you can't go out and just like have exciting conversations with people. You can't do things that are going to get you excited and feel good, because you
Mm.
want to essentially you want to have as little dopamine as possible. And the idea is that if you do that, or at least the theory for this is, if you do that, you will crave the dopamine that you get from like Instagram and Facebook and that kind of thing. You'll crave that less, or I don't know what's the idea
Mhm.
behind it. So we can talk about that more
Okay.
later. But I don't know, just kind of a strange theory that I've come across.
I have heard about like, people get the dopamine if when they see all the likes and they see the heart reacts and things like that. So they do search for it. And that's why a lot of people post, whatever the fuck they post on Instagram and, whatever.
Right. So I think, bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
But I think that's important, especially now, like you said, it's a really hard time to be addicted to your phone because not you're probably seeing all of this, you know, pandemic this and pandemic that, and who knows if it's true and who knows if it's false, and um, that's its own issue of, you know, quote unquote fake news and that kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know, and there's just so much bias in media, and like I said, people shit post everywhere. It's just a kind of a mess online, I think.
Yeah, it is. And it's not really productive, and it's not something I really can sustain during this time. Um it's very just not productive for me. So I do like I've been trying to stay off of it, but then again, like I don't know, it just sucks me back in. But um
You use the word productive, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's important to hit on of like the whole need to be productive during this time.
yeah, okay.
How do you feel about that?
Um I do struggle with that. Yeah. I
Mhm.
struggled with it. Like I was just beating myself up today. Like I didn't do this, whatever I was trying to do. But I'm like, I didn't do it, and I feel like I'm procrastinating and during this time. But I do have to. I worry like that. I can't balance the productive and the procrastination properly. So I feel like I do. I just don't have a healthy balance.
Mhm.
But in this time, I do have to be more gentle with myself because it's just like people are dying like at an alarming rate. Like, yet we have a government that doesn't seem to really care. Our president doesn't even wear a mask because he thinks that for aesthetic reasons that he shouldn't. um but then we look over at like other countries, like I think it's New Zealand completely eradicated it. Like, and they only had like 23 deaths in the time that they did it. So it's like clearly it can be done. Our government just doesn't want to do it. Or like how I think it was like Italy or Berlin, they've all been like, making mortgages free for 5 years because they don't know how this is going to happen. Italy's um Italy's rules, and a lot of them other were a lot stricter. Like they only had like one person was designated to go out for the family. Everything was shut down, and you had a time from when you could go to the store. Okay, this time during this time. Like people are like, "Oh my God, that's so strict," but I feel like it should have been done here. It can be done. And then people got that stimulus check, that measly little $1,200 that didn't pay, cover like a lot of people's rent. People in New York, that rent that was like half their rent, you
Right.
know?
Mhm.
So it was like, they're kind of just making it seem like it's not as crucial as it is, and it just shows and reiterates how our government doesn't protect us and how they really don't care. um Canada is giving their people, I think it's 2,000 for the next 4 months now. I think it was 6 months.
Mhm.
So it's like, people need this money, but they're so ready to get us back to work, and oh, we're numbers are getting lower, and they're not,
Mhm.
you know so it's just, I don't know, it's crazy.
Right. And I think that, fuck, I had a point and I just forgot. uh,
Sorry.
no, no, it's not your fault. One thing I will say that's kind of related, and I think you hit on it, was just that like people people aren't really taking this seriously, and people aren't. I don't know. We're not taking this as seriously as other countries, and it's so disheartening to see that. It just kind of, I feel like it's just this attitude that a lot of Americans have that like I don't have to do that. Like they're
Yeah.
above this virus. This virus is biological. It doesn't care where you're from, how much money you have, you know,
How old you are.
exactly. And like I think a lot of Americans don't think that way. And I think it stems from having a president that also thinks that way, that he is above and he is untouchable and he is this great being. Um, I don't know. It's frustrating, and I think, like you said, it just sheds light that the government doesn't care about us. And I think it's also interesting, especially being in Michigan, having the dichotomy of a president who doesn't give a fuck, and then having a governor who's trying to give a fuck,
Yeah.
and like obviously battling. They're like having an exchange of words on Twitter of all fucking places. And like, yeah, right. First of all, I just need to say something about that because two government officials, I feel like should not be discussing things over Twitter. I feel like that is so unprofessional.
Yeah.
Like, why is that like the normal now?
Yeah, how is that a thing? Like, I don't get that.
I don't know. But having a governor who is trying her best, and I don't think she's perfect by any means, but I think she's been, I think she's been doing a pretty decent job. And then having those people go up and protest, and we all know carrying guns and like the severity of that, and like seriously, like
because you want a haircut and because you don't want to social distance anymore,
right.
like that's crazy to me. Like the one thing I will say, the one thing I will say about that is that I noticed, and somebody else on my Facebook actually mentioned it, was like, they let those people run through the Capitol and with guns and everything, no masks. But in Detroit, they're giving out fines for social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving out tickets, and they're not cheap. They're like $500 or something, from what I hear. Things like that. So I feel like it should be across the board for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like they should. I mean, I don't know how they got into the Capitol. I don't know how easy it is to walk in there like that. But it's
It must be
like there's
pretty
no way
easy
that
because
could have happened.
there was a ton of them with
Exactly.
guns.
With
With
guns.
guns. Oh God. I don't know.
So yeah, I feel like in some ways she is trying though. I do feel like that. Making sure, like, I think up north it's like they're out of their stage and they're pretty good, but like still up here she still has things shut down, and I agree, things should still be shut down. I feel like nobody should be at work. Like I really feel that way. Like even at like the places like the online retailers and things like that, I honestly don't feel like people should be going to work.
Right. And the Donald Trump saying we need to get our people back to work. How about y'all just redistribute the wealth? If y'all are
Yeah.
so worried about the economy, start redistributing that wealth. Give that money away. Put it in places that's going to spark up the economy, which is the people who are at the bottom of the economic totem pole. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I gotta stop myself.
No, it's okay. But then like a couple of weeks ago, I mean, it might have been like 2 months ago now, but they put like 3 trillion into the market. Remember when the market like dropped really, really? She put like 3 trillion or something in the market.
But can we talk
Like,
about how government officials got to trade their stocks before that happened?
crazy.
Why did that happen? Why is no one in jail for that?
That's ridiculous.
Didn't Martha Stewart go to jail for that? Isn't that what she went to jail for? Like insider trading and shit like that?
I think so. I can't remember 100%.
Why did she go to jail?
They're right. Government officials doing it every day.
Right. God damn it.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I just think this all ties back to the point of this pandemic has not only changed our lives, but it's just shed so much light on how the government is failing us, how the government does not work for us, how the government does not protect us, it doesn't care for us. It is only aimed at keeping the rich rich and the poor poor, and something's got to change. Whether it be by force, whether it be by policy, whether it be whatever means necessary. I don't know. Something's got to change.
For sure.
And it's not just Medicare for all, and that the problem's done. It's not just free college tuition. It's not just affordable housing for all. It's not just police abolition. Like, it's the whole system. Every aspect of the system has to change. And I feel like we're kind of reaching this. I don't know. I feel like maybe I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying this prematurely, but I feel like we're reaching this kind of like historical point where something's going to happen. And with this pandemic, and then the racial injustice and the protests and everything that's going on, I feel like there's like a bigger event that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. I hope there's dramatic change. I hope that there's things that keep going. I hope the protesters keep protesting and keep fighting for what we need, and for our equality and everything like that. And with the pandemic, like I hope so.
I agree. I agree completely.
I do want to ask, do you know anybody that's been affected by the virus?
Not like immediately surrounding
Okay.
me. I know people who have had like family members die, and
Yeah. Same with
people
me.
who have had it, but I haven't had anyone directly. Knock on wood. Um, I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I again this is just me, but I feel like I convinced myself that I kind of maybe had it, a very mild symptoms of it. And again, it could just be because I was in New York and all of that. But like when I came home from tour, I kind of had like that like toughness of breathing. I kind of was getting hot, not a fever, but like getting like warm unexpectedly. Um, and I did have a little bit of a cough. So I don't know. I don't know if I had it. I feel like I should probably get tested. That would probably be the appropriate thing to do. Maybe I'll do that. But I don't
Have you
know.
seen that test?
Yeah, where they stick it up your nose.
Yeah, I can't handle that.
You know, I had nose surgery, so I've already had that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's because that's like your first appointment at the nose surgeon. They like go up there.
My gosh, I can't. Like that's why I'm like, I really can't. Like my dad was like, maybe we should go just to see, and I'm like, I'm not going up there. I'm like, I'm not going up there to stick something up my nose. I know somebody that's had it done like 2 times, 2 or 3 times, because they thought they were exposed twice. I'm like, okay, at that point, you just need to stay home.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. That's too much. But yeah, one of my dad's friend, his brother passed away from it. And my cousin, I believe she had it. Like she was really, really sick. Like her mom had to like watch her baby for like 2 weeks. It was like a lot. Yeah. And one of my friends, they believe her dad had it, but it was never confirmed because it was kind of like at the beginning where we were like running low on supplies. So the hospital actually told him just self quarantine at home.
Wow.
Yeah, so and they were doing that for a lot of people. Like, okay, just self quarantine at home. Like, don't come up here.
Mhm.
So it was pretty bad. We actually had a scare. We thought my nephew was. I'm sorry, it's kind of funny. We thought my nephew was sick. So he was by me, and I had been out that week too.
Mhm.
So I was nervous because he was around me, and then like later on that night my sister's like, Braylon's stomach, he said his stomach's not feeling good, like he's sweating, he has a fever. So I'm like, oh my god, like I hope I
Mhm.
didn't get my nephew sick. Like I can't take that if I did. And so my sister's like, I'm gonna take him to the hospital. So, my mom goes, my dad go, I was gonna go, but they're not gonna let us all in during this time.
Right.
So I wait, I'm waiting about an hour later. She texted me and she's like, yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed. And I was like, why? I was like, why? What's wrong? What did they say? She was like, he just had to poop. It was a really bad poop. That's what it was. And she said, like, they went to the emergency room,
Oh
okay?
my
Like,
God.
they were at the hospital. And she said that, she was like, at first, like, the doctors asked him, like, where does it hurt? And, like, on your stomach? And he was kind of, like, pointing to his butt. And they were like, what? Your butt hurts? And then he's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And he runs to the bathroom.
Oh
So
my
me is like, what? Like, what does he have to, what is going on? So they said he comes out the bathroom. He's like, I feel so much better. I feel so much better. And so my sister's like, are you
Oh.
kidding me? So that was like our scare, but it was super funny. Like my sister was like, I'm so embarrassed. But the doctors were really nice about it. They were like, it was good you told your mom. Like if you don't feel good, make sure to tell your mom.
Right.
So but yeah, she was really upset about it.
Well, at least he's taking precautions. At least
Right. And that's what I said to him. Like, Mia, you had to take him, especially during
Right.
this time. Like,
Mhm.
you know,
That's funny.
yeah. Um, I did want to make a note. I think I wrote something. Oh, also I wanted to talk about like those memes and stuff that we've been seeing around saying like hey, if you haven't finished that book or lost those 10 pounds or, done whatever shit you were supposed to do, it's because it's you and your procrastination or something like that. I've been seeing stuff like that. And that is complete bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
We are in a pandemic. Like, if you don't finish that book's still gonna be there. Like, we're going like like I don't understand what
You're so right.
like, what is the problem? Like, oh, it's your procrastination. Yeah, because I'm watching CNN and how, like, 1,000 people are dying in a day, or, I'm worried about my mom when she goes out and my dad when he goes out because they're in their 60s. Like, so if you don't finish things, if you haven't finished that book, if you haven't lost that last 10 or 50 pounds, whatever you need to do, like, that's okay during this time. Like, we're going through a hard time. The whole world is.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with your character. It has nothing to do with your procrastination. It has nothing to do with you being motivated and determined. Like, everybody's deterred right now. Like, so I just want people to know that, like, everything's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're washing your hands for 20 seconds and wearing your mask. But, like, it's okay that you if you're slower on days and not doing things and not meeting every single goal that you have for yourself, because sometimes it's kind of impossible to do. So just make
Right.
sure you guys are being gentle with yourselves.
And the other kind of piggybacking off of that, the other kind of meme I've been seeing is like, somebody like, just recognize who doesn't hit you up during this time and, cut them out of your life and that kind of thing. Like, no, take
Yeah.
care of yourself. Like Ashley said, take care of yourself. Make sure that you're healthy, because if you're not healthy, you can't help others, and you can't be there for others. So, I don't know. I don't agree with that sentiment that you need to be reaching out to everyone every single day and whatever. I don't know.
No, you don't need to do that at all, because I mean, who's checking on you?
Yeah,
Who's
exactly.
checking on you and who's making sure you're okay? Sometimes the best self-care is to leave people alone and be with yourself and do things that you make you happy. I
Mhm.
love a good day of shutting my phone off or keeping it on do not disturb. Um so I love that. Make sure you can distance yourself, and that's okay. If they're your friend, they'll understand.
Mhm. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I also wanted to mention, I don't know, are we wrapping up? Feels like we're kind of wrapping up, but I'm not sure. Okay. I'm like, I hope we're not rushing anything. But I did want to mention, this is piggybacking off of last week's episode. Breonna Taylor's GoFundMe, they actually had first, when it first happened, it was shut down because it wasn't getting any traction. But because of, in light of the current events and everything, her family decided to reopen a GoFundMe for her, and that reached over $4 million. I think it was like 4.5
Oh,
million. So yeah, and her birthday just passed, her, I
mhm.
believe, her 27th birthday. So happy birthday to her.
Mhm.
May she continue to rest in peace. So
Yeah.
I was really proud of that. So I wanted to mention that as
Right.
well.
That's great.
Yeah.
I
Um,
also see, kind of when you mentioned it too, I've been seeing more people having the same view that there needs to be more recognition or more amplifying of the Black women dying too. And I think that that's, I don't want to say that that's great because that implies that it's great that it's happening, but it's great that it's happening, um, and that we're kind of hearing their stories too. So,
yeah, because we need to be heard. Like, Black women are abused as well. We die as well. We've been getting raped by people, white people, and just in general. Like, we've had so many struggles, and those need to be recognized as well. It shouldn't be a thing as well. Oh, well, we're gonna focus on the Black men first, and then once we get us to the top, we'll make sure we come back for y'all. Like, no, everybody, we need to do this collectively because we're all one, and make sure that continue to have protests for Breonna Taylor and the many others. Ayanna Stanley Jones, Sandra Bland. There's so many Just as there's so many Black men as well and children. So yeah, we definitely need that.
Mm-hmm.
It needs
I
to be
agree.
shed light on. So that is for sure. So yeah.
I love. I mean, this is just like another way how coronavirus has impacted us. Is just like doing these, doing the podcast like over the computer too. It's just funny. That's
Yeah.
me and Ashley were just like staring at each other, so it was funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just strange times. Maybe we'll do.
It's different.
Maybe
I
we'll do them in
appreciate
person
you.
soon.
Or I'm sorry, go ahead, reset that.
Oh, I was just saying maybe we'll do them in person soon.
Yeah, I definitely miss in person. It's definitely chill vibes with our nice music and stuff like that. This is cool too. I appreciate like us being able to do this and still like social distance too,
Right.
because like I want to make sure we're safe and everything. But
Mm.
I do this in person. But this was very a nice setup. So
Right. I agree.
happy about that. Yeah.
Well, is that it?
Sorry, I'm ending it like so. We're ending it so cut and dry, but I guess, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say.
You don't have a quote?
I do have a quote. I made sure I had a quote for you guys. So, the quote of the day or of the week, whichever way you like to look at it. It says, "Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain." And that is from Vivian Green.
I like that. I feel like that's
Yeah.
very applicable to life right now.
Yeah, I thought so too. So thank you guys so much for listening. Also, I don't know if there's a way we can do it. I'll probably see if we can make a post about it later. But I want to know how you guys are listening to us. Like,
Oh yeah.
YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Like, I think there's also Podbean. So just let us know, because I'm interested. Like, where our biggest platform at it and where people are watching it at.
Right. And just remember to, if you like hearing us talk and hearing us just kind of go on about different things, tell a friend, let them know, tell them, hey,
Yeah.
I know this really cool podcast and I listen to it and you should too.
Yeah, that would be definitely appreciated.
Yeah. We've got some fun episodes coming up. I'm really excited for next week's actually.
Yes, next week's episode is going to be fun, guys. So make sure you tune in.
Alrighty. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.